Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to be doing a drugstore glam look. If you want to see how I got this look, it's all drugstore, everything on my face. I will show you how I do the whole look. My hair is a mess. We're not really worried about hair in this video, so just ignore that. But yeah, if that sounds interesting, definitely stick around. Before we get started, make sure you hit the subscribe button so you don't miss out on any of my videos. Make sure you turn your little notification bell on. And yeah, if you want to see how I did this drugstore glam look, then just keep watching. So I've started off, I have moisturized, and that's all I've done. For primers, I'm going to go in with the Rimmel Stay Matte. I use this on my nose and in my T-zone, just because I am dry. Like, my skin is dry and dehydrated, but because my glasses slide up and down, and if I sweat at all, like, this is where my T-zone is where it's gonna show. So I like to put down just a little, and I swear I've had this forever. I got this in an Ipsy bag. I think this is the full size. I swear I've had, this is probably expired because I'm sure it's been 2 years, but it doesn't smell bad and it still works, so I'm going to use it because I use such a little bit that it goes a long way. And then, I don't know, this may be cheating. I was going to use the First Aid Beauty Coconut Smoothing Primer for a little bit extra moisture, and then this has a little bit of luminosity. I swear First Aid Beauty is sold at, I mean, it is sold at Sephora, but I swear there's First Aid Beauty stuff sold at Target. So if it's not, and I just am crazy, then I apologize for this product not being drugstore. But I swear I saw some First Aid Beauty stuff at Target before. But like I said, I could be just thinking of Soap and Glory, because Soap and Glory is sold at Target and Walgreens. But I swear I've seen First Aid Beauty at Target. So again, if it's not, I apologize for that one little thing that's not drugstore. And then I am going to go in with a little bit of the e.l.f. The Putty Primer. This is the illuminating one. I've only used this a couple of times. I don't know if I like this one as well as the regular. It does give a nice, like, sheen to the skin. It feels a little slipperier to me than the regular one, but that could be because of the, like, the shimmer and stuff that's in it. But since I've had this, I've used it a couple of times. Like, this is probably the third time I've used it. I still find myself just reaching for the regular e.l.f. primer, and then just going in with extra, like, dewy, oh, my eye's already watering, extra, like, dewy products. Okay, so I'm gonna let that sink in for a minute. Let me move some setting sprays. I didn't pull everything out ahead because I'm not organized. I kind of decided to film on a whim and pulled some stuff out. Now for foundation, I have a couple of drugstore ones. I have CoverGirl, Revlon, I have Maybelline. One of the ones that I like the most is probably the CoverGirl Vita Healthy Elixir. Mine looks really goopy and gross, but, and then there's, like, weird stuff in the lid. I probably need to clean the outside of this bottle, but I used to use this all the time. And I'm going to try it with a brush. This is a new brush that I got. It's still got tape around it. This is the Sigma, I don't even know what this is called. This is the 3D HD Kabuki. I was intrigued by the shape of this, like, for getting around in here. So that's why I ordered this. It came in a set. I needed a new HD, like, sponge thingy that's buried. And this came in a set, and it's got, like, the pink chrome handle, which is going to look disgusting because I have primer, but I haven't tried it yet since I bought it. So we're going to see. Usually I use this foundation with a sponge. This is pretty, like, full coverage-esque and can get real heavy real quick. So I'm just going to go in with a little bit. This is in the shade Buff Beige. This is probably, as you can see, like a hair dark for me, but if you've watched some of my videos, I like to go a little bit darker and then just take it down the neck. I am very fair, and I feel like doing my exact shade, I feel like I look real pasty. So I would rather go a little bit darker and have to like blend it than to do my exact shade. I don't dislike this brush. It's an interesting, the shape is different. The foundation brush that I'm used to is a Luxie brush, and it's like browned. But like I said, I was intrigued by this because of the shape, because I thought it would be easier. I did my eyebrows off camera. I was playing around with some brow pomade. My pomades are like the Ulta brand ones, but they're super dried out, so I was trying to bring them back. I put a little like saline drops in them. I think I just need to put like Silk Infusion works really well for that, bringing some of those cream products back to life. So I think I need to go in with the Silk Infusion next time, because it was still kind of a very dry consistency. But the point of that is I figured with the shape of this, it would be a little bit easier for me to have my eyebrows done and then go around than it would normally be. And that's part of the reason I don't like do all of that in my eyes ahead of time, because it's such a pain, especially when the foundation is not the exact shade to go around. But I just make sure I take it down my neck. And then when I put powder and stuff on, it comes together and it doesn't look quite so bad. But I feel like this just gives me like a healthy glow. And for me, I don't even know what, and this does have sunscreen in it. I don't know if this is considered like a medium or full coverage. I feel like it's at least medium. For me, I could probably get away with this being full coverage, because you can build this up, and I have gotten carried away with this foundation and made it real thick on accident. So it's definitely buildable. And like I said, it does have SPF 20 in it, which is nice. Okay. Now for concealer, I'm not going to do anything crazy. I'm going to do my normal, going in with the Pixie by Petra Correction Concentrate and Brightening Peach. I use this every day. I've heard this is a good dupe. Becca makes a very similar product, and I've heard that this one works just as well. I thought about buying the Becca one, just to compare, but I don't need two of these if it's the same, and this one works pretty good. They do have a darker, more salmon-y shade if you need more. I kind of debated going back and forth because my under eyes can get quite dark, but I feel like this, with the concealer I go on after, is enough. Next, I like this Neutrogena stick. What is this? Hydro Boost. And then I use light medium, which again is a little bit on the darker side, but I'm concealing. And then I will go in and I will brighten a little bit, but it just kind of makes that disappear. And then I'll take this sometimes around my nose too. And then this is good like for little blemishes, but because it is a little on the dark side for me, I have to make sure I blend it really well. But I do like that. And then for brightening, we're going to use the e.l.f. Hydrating Concealer. I do really like this. This is the Camo, Hydrating Camo Concealer. I did not like the regular Camo Concealer. It was too drying. I love it for doing my cut creases. So that's what I use the original for. And all these brushes that I'm using are just Morphe brushes. If anybody's curious, I'll just leave me a comment. I don't feel like I need to say what every single brush is. I don't know. Sometimes that gets annoying when I watch makeup videos because I don't necessarily need to know what the brush is. I know there are people that do if you're newer to makeup or you're not as experienced maybe, or you don't use a lot of brushes, it's helpful. But for me, I'm like, okay, I don't need to know that. So I'm not going to say it. If somebody wants to know, I have mentioned it in videos before, but if you want to know a specific brush, just leave me a comment and I'll respond. Okay. Sometimes I will do this part with a sponge. I like, even when I do my makeup with a sponge, I tend to do this part with a brush just because I get the maximum coverage. Because again, my under eyes are very, very dark and I need the coverage. So I tend to do this, the concealer step, with these two brushes, regardless of what applicator I use for foundation. Okay. Now for powders, I got a few powders out. I have more drugstore powder than I thought I did. I'm going to set my under eyes. I'm going to use a little bit of this e.l.f., this little baby sheer under eye setting powder. I believe they still carry this just because I need to use it up. I've had it forever and it's still hanging around because I'm like, it's not a bad product. So I'm going to use some of this and then I may go in with something else. Yeah, it's just a sheer, like, translucent. I think it's got a little bit of shimmer in it. I believe it's like $3 and I'm pretty sure e.l.f. still carries this. Again, it's not a bad product. And back in the day on YouTube, everybody, when this came out, everybody was using it. Everybody was talking about it. Then it just kind of fell to the wayside because there's so much coming out. And you don't get a lot, like it comes in this little baby like micro pot, but it does do a good job for under eye. I remember when I was first getting into loose powders, I used it a lot. So we'll go in with that. And then I'm gonna do a little bit of this Maybelline Fit Me. I have the shade Fairlight. I believe I got the one above this, and it was too dark. And this one may be too dark. I don't know. Try not to break a nail because that would be bad. Yeah, I haven't even used this. This is the one I replaced because the powder I got before that I thought would be my right shade was too dark for me. So this is the lighter one and I've never even opened this. People really loved this powder when it first came out, and I don't know. I have to use tweezers and get this open. I didn't love it, and I don't know if it was because I didn't have the right shade and it was too dark. So let's see if this looks better. This is going to be a mess. Okay. So I just put a little bit in the cap, and I'm going to go in, try and not get powder all over everything, and we'll see. It's definitely a better color. Yeah, I don't remember what the shade name was. It was just like light to medium or light. I don't know. It was too dark. It was not even in the light category. So I've got the Fairlight. This seems better. Definitely will have to use this. Like I said, I didn't use the other one much, and I ended up decluttering it and giving it away to one of my friends. Trying to see if I feel tacky or not. That's not bad. Like I said, at least it's a better color match. So I'll have to use that some more. See, I've had this for a while and didn't even realize it wasn't even opened because that's how much I didn't like the other one. So I'm going to go in with a little bit of this Milani Prep Set and Glow. It's supposed to be an illuminating pressed powder. I don't know how much illuminating this actually does, but I want to try and use this up. So I'm going to put some of this on just to make sure it's completely set, because this is a very like dewy, like healthy, natural looking foundation, and it tends to feel a little sticky. And then I'm going to go in with a little bit of Opal Essence, my Revolution Pro Skin Finish. This is a dupe for the Hourglass Ambient Light powder, and I always have a hard time getting it open, but it's just a finishing powder. I use the same powder brush. It just gives a nice glow. Now, it probably doesn't make sense. Like, foundation was already dewy. Why'd you set it? Because it feels I don't like the feeling of foundation not being set on my skin. The tacky feeling drives me insane. So, put a little bit of that on, and then we'll be good. And then I'm going to spray a little bit of this Pixie Glow Mist. Normally I would go in with my Cover FX and the Glow Recipe, but since we're doing drugstore, I'm going to use the Pixie one. Oh, my nose itches. I think there was dog hair on something, which happens. My face will start to itch real bad. Okay. Now we're going to go, let's move some things out of the way. Put you over here. Let's do contour and blush and highlight and all of that. So for contour, I'm going to use my Revolution Ultra Contour Kit. I have a Morphe one too. I'm going to end up breaking one of my nails, and I can't go get it fixed. There we go. Okay, I don't know why I still have the clear plastic thingy in there. All right, this is what it looks like. I've used it a few times. I like this. I don't reach for it often, just because I like my Tarte ones, and now I have the Benefit Hoola. So I've been using that. And I'm just going in, there's no names, this second from the left on the bottom. Just gonna contour. But I don't think this is a bad drugstore kit at all. I have, like I said, I have a Morphe one that I've kept. I haven't used it. I need to use it. Oh, I swear, there's something on my nose. It just, oh, there is a dog hair there. Oh, okay. I might have to go back in and recover because I just scratched my nose. I don't know if that brush did the best application on my nose, but like I said, first time using it, still playing with it. And some brushes work better with some foundations than others, so it may just not like that foundation. That could be a thing. And I'm going to go in. This is a Sigma Soft Angled Contour. And I'm not somebody that cream contours, so if I don't set my face real well, I feel like the foundation moves around, especially when I do this step, because I really pretty aggressive about my forehead contour. And then for bronzer, I'm going to use again the Revolution bronzer. This is Bronzer Reloaded and Take a Vacation. I think this is the middle shade. There is a lighter one than this. So it's got a little bit of a shimmer. I like a little bit more of a stronger bronzed forehead. I think I said this in a video a long time ago. I like to pretend I'm from New Jersey. I don't really, but that's what I tend to think about when I bronze, because sometimes I'll go a little overboard, but I feel like it just gives me a little more color, gives me a little more glow. And then for blush, I probably do have some other drugstore blushes, but I haven't actually used this one on my face. This is the Heartbreakers I Heart Revolution and Independent. Just because I wanted to try it. Not that I'm like only have Makeup Revolution like drugstore products, but I haven't actually. I've swatched this one, but I haven't actually put this on my face. And normally I will do highlight before blush, but I want to see how this looks. And then I was debating on, there's a little bit of fragrance, like a flowery smell. That's not bad. Actually, I have another Revolution blush in like a compact, like similar to this one that I like, but this one is not bad. And then for highlight, let's see. I was going to use the one out of the palette, but I think I might do one out of the Self X. It's also Makeup Revolution. Again, I know I have other drugstore highlighters, I'm sure. I have ColourPop ones. I'm going to mix this white one and this next light one. That's pretty. I don't know why I'm using this brush. This is not my favorite highlight brush. I have this. I don't even know why it's in my cup. I think it's like in my mind. I need a backup. I don't need a backup. I don't know why this is in there. I don't hate this brush, but it's not my favorite. Which sounds funny because if you look at one of my other favorite ones, it looks exactly like this. Don't ask me why I don't like this one as well. That's really nice. I don't use this palette often enough. I got mine on Poshmark, but you can still get this palette. It's still available. So I think it's good. Makeup Revolution makes some decent face products, in my opinion. And they have good staying power. Like, I'm able to wear their products when I was working and have it on for 16 hours and still look put together. So I'm going to go in with the ColourPop All-Star Setting Spray. This has some dust on it. I haven't used it in a while. I don't dislike their spray. It's a little bit aggressive of a spray. So you just have to be prepared for that. But I don't dislike their setting spray at all. Like, I don't think it's a bad formula. Like I said, it's not my favorite sprayer. It's a little bit aggressive. And then I will probably go in with a little bit more of the Pixie, but formula-wise, I don't think the ColourPop one is bad. And I don't mind the smell. It's kind of got a nutmeggy, kind of spicy smell to it to me. Let's move some things out of the way. And then we're going to I'm going to put my tweezers back before I lose them, because that happened once and I couldn't find them for like 2 weeks. And I was panicking. So we're going to do like a smoky glam look. I'm going to use my Jaclyn Hill palette. This is in my declutter bag, but since I can't give it to anybody right now, I'm just going to use it. And then the other palette I'm going to dip into is the Kathleen Lights Zodiac from ColourPop. So we're going to use a little Morphe, a little ColourPop. I don't have many drugstore eyeshadows. I did decide to keep 4 of my monochromatic palettes. I only ended up decluttering the purple and the pink one just because I have that god-awful big Morphe palette that I bought, the 39 Such a Gem, whatever it's called. But I decided to keep the blue, the green, the smoky one, and the yellow for now. Color switch my brush. And for primer, I'm going to use the CoverGirl Lid Locket. I do like this primer. I think it stays a little bit tacky, so I think it's a good, like, gripping primer. I don't use this one often because I like my MAC paint pot. But another good drugstore one is the Master Prime, the Maybelline Master Prime. I have that one too. I like that. And then the Ulta brand matte primer in nude is another good one that I like. I feel like this primer was popular when it first came out, which is why I have it. Rach loves, she's got a pretty decently sized YouTube channel. I think she's got like some million subscribers, but I don't know what the shade names are. They're on the back. I'm going to go in with this tan shade right here. I'm not going to go back and forth and look because I'll get annoyed, and I'm sure you'll get annoyed. We'll all be annoyed. So I'm just going to point to the colors. Hopefully that will help. If you want me to leave the shade names down below, leave me a comment and I can add that. Like what colors I actually used. I don't know if this is an original Jaclyn Hill palette or if I have a revised palette. I bought it right after the Vault came out, like right after, to compare formulas. And this is where it gets kind of, I think I bought it right after the Vault because I was comparing it to the Kathleen Lights collab and then the Vault formula, because there was that whole debacle going on with when the Vault palettes came out, and people were mad because it wasn't this formula, and I like hadn't tried this formula, so I think that's when I bought it. But I don't know if this is a revised palette or if this was the original. But I don't dislike this palette. I had decluttered it because I have too many palettes and I wasn't necessarily reaching for it. But since we're all in quarantine and I'm like trying to use up stuff, I may end up putting it back because, like I said, I don't have anybody to give it to. And if I end up using it, and after this video I may decide that I like it enough to hold on to it. We'll see. It was in my large palette drawer. It may find its way back. Okay, I'm going to go in with this brown that's right above the black. I said this is kind of a almost gripping primer, so I feel like the shadows initially don't glide on as well until you kind of, and then you could set it with translucent powder or a shade close to your lid. I'm never one to do that. I just go in and then do the blending and all of that. When the base is a little bit stickier, it just takes a little bit more to blend out, which is what you'll encounter if you use concealer and don't set it. Got a real tacky base, so you can see it just kind of grips right there, and then it doesn't want to blend out. But again, I didn't set the primer, so I'm just kind of going in. If you set it, you're not going to have those problems. I don't necessarily mind that because I feel like you get more pigmentation when there's a little bit of a grip. I'm going to go back in with that tan shade that we started off with just to kind of help blend that out a little bit. Kind of have an idea what I want the end to look like, but I'm not 100% how I'm going to get there. So go back in with that brown shade, and I'm going to put this on my lid. I don't know, a third of the way in, 2/3, I don't know, however much that is. Not quite to the center. Okay. And I've just been using the Sigma blending, the E25 that I use for everything. It's my favorite brush in the whole world. I'm gonna go in, this is just a Jessup crease brush. I'm going to go in with the black in the palette and just take a little bit. This black is decently pigmented. Now, Morphe is not my end-all be-all formula. They make, some of their palettes are better than others. Somebody made a comment, and I don't mean this to be offensive in any way, because I had given away so many ColourPop palettes, and I was keeping Morphe, that they couldn't trust my judgment. Morphe and ColourPop, neither one of them make my end-all be-all formula. I've been very open about my love-hate with ColourPop's formula. I've always had issues with some of their palettes. And it's not the palette as a whole, it's shades in the palette. And they've never made my favorite formula. Morphe does not make my favorite formula either. Like, the reason I got rid of the pink and the purple monochromatic palette, because the formula for me is on the same level. I bought that stupid big palette, and I've got the big palette, and I've only used it one time, so I'm like, well, I don't really need the small ones, but I don't want it to sound defensive. I'm just trying to explain that neither one of them make my ideal formula. But their palettes are inexpensive, and I keep buying ColourPop palettes knowing there's a pretty good chance that I'm probably not going to like some of them, which is why I got rid of so many. It's just never been my favorite eyeshadow formula, for one. And okay, I'm going back in with that dark brown just to kind of smoke this out. But they make a decent palette for a decent price, because not everybody can go out and buy expensive palettes. Not everybody wants to go out and buy expensive palettes, so I get it. So I have, and that's why I kept buying ColourPop, because everybody raved about ColourPop. And like I said, I don't think ColourPop is bad. I do have, like, I like the Zodiac palette. I have another one of their bigger, slightly bigger palettes, and I did end up keeping the monochromatic ones. But again, they're just, like, at the end of the day, they're not my favorite formula. I'm going to go in, I don't know, I feel like this is muddying a little bit. And some of it I think is the primer. Again, I probably should have set the primer. Go in with the brown a little bit more on this side. I wanted a smoky eye, so we are going to achieve that. And I apologize that I don't remember the subscriber who left the comment, but just, I don't want it to come across defensive. I'm just explaining why I kept some of the Morphe ones and got rid of the ColourPop, just because they're all about on the same plane for me. And the one Morphe, the Boss Mood, a friend of mine bought me that palette, so I will never get rid of the one with the mossy tones in it, just because it was gifted. A friend of mine bought it for me when I took my cosmetology practical exam, my friend Lauren. So most of the palettes that people have bought me, even if I don't like them, I will keep them. And the 39 Gem is a newer palette that I shouldn't have bought, because I had the ColourPop ones that worked just fine, but I had to buy that monstrosity. So I'm like, well, I don't really need the ColourPop ones, because I have the monstrosity that I need to use. Going back in with that tan shade. So I feel like that got smoky real quick. Just using that tan to kind of help blend. I feel like the black on this eye kind of muddied a little bit, kind of in the crease, but try to blend it out. My eyes being a little bit hooded, I don't know that you can, when my eyes are open, you can really see the muddiness, so that helps. I'm just using that lightest shade we started with. Okay, so we got kind of a dramatic smoky situation going on. I'm gonna go in with my concealer that I put somewhere over here, and just a flat brush. Now there are golds in this palette, and I will probably use one to kind of help blend, but I'm going to pull a gold out of the Zodiac palette first, just because I like it. And then my cut crease, I'm sure I've explained this in other videos. If you haven't seen them, I do kind of a mock cut crease. I have hooded eyes, so with hooded eyes you can do it one of two ways. You can do what I'm doing, where you stop right before the crease, and then it kind of looks like it's in the crease when your eyes are open, or you can go above. Now there's a bunch of beauty gurus on YouTube that do the above. They have larger eyes and more lid space. When I do that, I feel like it looks like it's halfway up to my eyebrows, so I tend to do this version just because I think I look silly the other way. But if you've got more lid space, you could definitely go above. Once in a while I try it, but I feel like I look ridiculous. So that's why you don't see me do that very often. So in the Zodiac palette, I'm going to take Gemini. This is the only cool tone gold I own. I was doing a similar look to this in another video. I think I was comparing this to like this original Self palette from Makeup Revolution, and I needed a cool tone gold, and I went through every palette, and I've got over 100 palettes. This is the only gold I own that looks like this. So I will probably never declutter this for this one shade, but I do like this whole palette. I have used this palette. It does have some dips in there, I promise. So I do like this one, and I didn't dislike the Dream Street. The blues in it were a little problematic, but I just don't find myself reaching for it anymore. I did when I first got it, but... And the Disney Villains palette I didn't think was bad. I just had trouble doing cohesive looks with it because there was only like 4 or 5 mattes in that palette, and I felt like the matte selection was a little bit odd for the shimmers. And I'm not one that minds doing an all shimmer look. I don't know. I was really excited about the Disney Villain palette, and then I got it, and I just didn't really find myself using it a whole lot. So I don't think all of the ColourPop palettes are bad, but I have had a love-hate relationship with the ColourPop formula for a long time. And the next shade, there's this gold one up here on the right side, second from the top, and I'm going to put that on that outer part. It's a little bit more of a bronzy gold. And I'll blend that in better in a moment, but just to kind of marry between that and the brown. And then I just flipped my brush over on the clean side, and I'm dragging the cooler gold into the bronze. Flip the brush back over, just taking the bronze a little bit farther into the brown. And then we'll dip into the brown on that same flat brush just to kind of blend that in. So there's a little bit better of a transition happening there. Okay. And then let me find a brush. This is a just a smudger. It's just a little chubby, fat, like smudgy brush. No, that was very technical. The dark brown that we've been using. Gonna put that on the lower lash line. I'm going to take a little bit, I have this other brush where it kind of comes up to a point. It's still one of like the same little like chubby, but it's a little bit narrower at the top. That's the word. I'm going to go into the black just a pinch and just concentrate that towards where my lashes are, just on the outer like 2/3. And then I'll go in and blend that out just to kind of deepen like the smolteriness of it, and we'll just blend so it doesn't look like a harsh line. And then I'm going to take just a little bit of that tan shade on that same brush and just go underneath. Just make sure it's nice and smoked out. Okay. And then for inner corner, I'm going to try second from the left, this white I think it's shimmery. It's been a while since I've used this palette. Go in with just a pencil brush and we'll see. If not, I'll use a highlighter. Oh no, that's fine. That looks pretty. I may end up holding on to this palette just so I can do some of these drugstore smoky eyes with it. Has some good shades for that. Okay, leave me a comment if you think I should keep this palette or not. I can do lots of looks with it. There's lots of colors. Normally I would take palettes to work and give, but since we can't leave our house and see anybody and nobody, and with germs and all that, I don't know that anybody would want my stuff right now anyway, so I'm stuck with most of my decluttered palettes. For liner, I'm going to use the Revolution liner. I have some other drugstore liners, but I don't like them very well. It's not that I don't like them. I have a hard time doing a wing with them. So I'm going to do liner and mascara off camera, and I'll be right back. So I got liner, mascara. For mascara, I use the Maybelline Total Temptation. It's not my favorite mascara, but it looks fine. My lashes don't hold a curl very well. Again, the liner was the Revolution. This is probably one of the few drugstore liners that I found that has a felt tip that I can actually do a decent wing with. That's the problem I have with drugstore liners. It's not that I think they're bad. I have trouble with the drugstore felt tips doing wings. And then for lips, this is the ColourPop Snow White. I keep them in the box. It's a little dusty, but I keep them in the boxes just because they have the cute little pictures of the princesses on them, and all of the tubes look the same, so then I know what color it is. So this is the Snow White one from the Princess collection. See, I don't hate ColourPop. Some of their eyeshadows I have trouble with. But I love this gold shade so much. Like, I do like this whole palette, as the palette as a whole, but this gold shade is phenomenal. So I will, when I hit pan on that, I'm gonna have to hunt down another one of these palettes because I like that shade a lot. So yeah, this is the finished look. So it's a little bit drugstore glam. Marcy, if you're watching, this is one of the eye looks that I was gonna do for a New Year's tutorial, and I just didn't get around to it because work was so crazy. So this is a good like holiday, Christmas, New Year's glam look. You could put some glitter on it. If I was not doing drugstore, I would put a little Urban Decay glitter. I have a gold one I would put on there, but since trying to keep it drugstore, I didn't put that on there. But yeah, hopefully you guys like it. Let me know what you think of all the products that I used, what you thought of the finished look. I feel like I needed to use a lip liner. I had the worst time. Maybe it's because I haven't applied lipstick in a while. I had a hard time, but I like this look a lot. So yeah, let me know what you guys think. Thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure you are subscribed before you leave, and I will hopefully see you in another video very, very soon. Bye, everybody.